Hey,
All right, I'm going to start with the intro, and then I'm going to have you introduce yourself. You ready?
word.
Hello, misfits and nomads. Step into the spotlight, let your essence shimmer and your creativity glims. This podcast is a canvas for your brilliance, a stage for your unique talent to dance and dazzle. Embrace the rhythm of your artistry, the melody of your voice, and the power of your story. As we dive, if we, as we dive into the depth of your passion, let the world feel the pulse of your creativity, the fire of your spirit, and the magic of your craft. This is your time to shine, your moment to inspire. So unleash your talent, showcase your gift, and let your light illuminate the way. Welcome to a podcast where dreams take flight, talent find their wings, and greatness know no bounds. Get ready to captivate, inspire, and leave a legacy that resonates through the ages. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
What's up? I'm PATx. I am a recording artist and filmmaker. I mix alternative with hip hop.
Shout out to you. And how long you been making music?
Over 10 years now, probably going on like 12.
And what inspired you to, start your journey within music?
For sure. I started off as a visual artist, and that's what kind of eventually got me into filmmaking. And then, yeah, I was forced to be on a church choir when I was little, and so I was trying to figure out like what can I possibly do to not be on that choir. And so I joined the band and learned how to play piano. And then my mentor at the time gave me this really old beat making program. So I started playing around with that and then just kind of fell in love with the music side of things. And here we are.
And by band, what band are we talking about?
The band like at my church at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to that. And what's a bit of your background story?
Um I'd say really just kind of like grassroots. I've had the luxury of humble beginnings. I'm from Lancaster, South Carolina, a small population, um, in the sticks. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I'm just kind of surrounded by common folk, so to speak. And then
Mm,
yeah, just kind of ventured out a little bit more. There's not really any examples of people kind of pursuing this sort of industry where I'm from, and so that's kind of something I pride myself on is being grassroots and kind of setting an example for people that are just as creative, you know what I mean, and ambitious and passionate, but just didn't have examples of that growing up.
okay. Shout out to you. And where you from again?
South Carolina.
Interesting. Interesting. And you say you still dive into what you think, virtual arts, visual arts?
Yeah, yeah. I started off as a visual artist. I used to draw like comic books and like that whole space. You know what I mean? So even now, a lot of like the cover art and stuff I do, album art, canvases and whatnot. It's all surrounded. It all surrounds the music and the film and whatnot. But I still definitely utilize, visual art.
For yourself, like within your projects?
Right.
Are you interested to explore expanding your service where people can invest in or pay for?
Not necessarily. I think if I do like I definitely want to do like more like installations, you know what I mean? And stuff like that to showcase the visual art a little bit more. If somebody wants to buy those pieces, like definitely. But as far as like commissions and creating stuff specifically for like a client is not something I'm super interested in. But if somebody's interested in buying, work that I've created, I'm not opposed to that at all. Especially if they're fans of the music, you know what I mean?
Understandable. And remind me of your skill sets within visual arts again.
For sure. Multiple mediums, watercolor, oil. I like working on canvases personally. Markers, color pencil. I don't really like charcoal, but I can use it. You know what I mean? But yeah, mostly that kind of space.
And where do you and correct me if I'm wrong, when you create these arts, they don't necessarily is it separate from your music? Like they're not necessarily like the cover art?
No, I wouldn't separate it from music. Because like I said, anytime that I'm doing art, it's usually surrounding the music in some capacity. So I'm usually, creating cover art for a single, or I'm creating like new merch. You know what I mean? Or right now, I'm working on canvases for a album release in 2025. Or you know what I mean, a poster for a short film I'm making. So it's usually all of those things are usually
Okay.
correlated with one another.
Okay. And tell me, before you tell me more about the short film, I'm also was interested. You say you used to tap into, or you had interest in like comic books.
Yeah, yeah. I had like my own character and used to do like these they're somewhere in here. I got this big tote just like full of my work just as a kid, you know what I mean? But yeah, I had a
Mm-hmm.
character and used to do this like series and all of that. I made one for the music a while ago, so that's something I might kind of reintroduce and create, you know what I mean, some folklore around the music. Yeah, all of that. It's cool.
That's dope. And uh, do you still have interest, creating your own comic book someday, or?
I think so. I've been trying to. It's kind of interesting whenever you become an adult and you start to kind of realize those things that you were interested in as a kid, kind of like reintroduce themselves in a different way. And so, like, even as a kid, I was like into animation and whatnot and comic books, like I said. And so now I'm starting to see how that can be applicable to stuff that I'm doing now. So I definitely want to kind of like do a little bit of world building around, maybe a project or something like that that incorporates, comic book style. And I think Lil Darky is a really good example of somebody that utilizes that. I grew up
No.
listening to the Gorillas, so like they're another real cool example. So yeah, I definitely want to explore that.
Okay. And uh, oh, I know what I was curious about. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 28.
Oh, 20. No, it's just funny, like when you grow up. I'm like, wait. Let me ask real quick. Okay, so you're 28. Okay, so you have some life experience. Okay. And was you saying that from the perspective that you finally, or you like in the process of like finding yourself, or you're discovering yourself or something?
I think you're always kind of like discovering more and more of yourself. I think like late 20s is when everything kind of starts to come together a little bit more. You know what I mean? At early 20s, you don't know who the hell you are. At 25, you know what I mean? You still don't really know. A lot kind of happens in your 20s, I think. And so I think now I'm starting to kind of like understand myself and where I quote unquote fit in the world. And yeah, and then like I said, some of it, you start to kind of realize how much your childhood like impacts your personality as an adult. You know what I mean? So you start to
Mm.
make all those realizations when you get a little bit older.
So it's funny that you said that. I'm curious. Have you ever thought about like your child self, you know, looking at, who you are as today? Do you think your child self would be proud?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Hmm.
And I think thinking that way helps me even now because sometimes everybody kind of gets in their head a little bit about not feeling as accomplished, or maybe that goal that you're pursuing is like a really really big one, and so it takes a while to get there, and so sometimes you don't celebrate those accomplishments like you should. And so sometimes, well, a lot of times I try to remind myself like, bro, even me 5 years ago would be like super happy about where I am now. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So for sure.
Shout out to you. And do you have the answer of like, where you belong, or you still finding that place?
I don't think it necessarily like belonging in, when you phrase it, well, when I phrase it like that, it almost implies that like something externally has to like validate whether I belong or not, and that's not the case. You know what I mean? Like I belong wherever I decide I belong. Um, and so like I kind of I think being an
I mean,
individual
I
is
feel you, but you did, let me quote, you did say like where I fit in. So
yeah, 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 for sure. And I kind of put that in
don't
parentheses.
shoot me down.
No, 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 no. You're right. You're right. You're facts. It's facts. It's facts.
No, but you
But
cool
no,
though.
I think I think it's important to be in spaces where you don't necessarily fit in. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Because it influences somebody else, kind of like looking at you as an example. So, for example, I went to Atlanta recently for an artist event, and there's a lot of like trap artists there, which is cool. You know what I mean? But I think it was important that I was there because there's other young black men that aren't. You know what I mean? That don't resonate with street life. You know what I mean? Or there's some weird kid that watches anime and doesn't play basketball, whatever the case may be, that need to see more examples like Tyler the Creator or Gambino, or you know what I mean? So I think just being an individual in general is the best thing that you could do, regardless of what space you're in.
Okay. Okay. So you feel like I understand where your statement is coming from. You feel like the best places where you don't fit in. You feel like that like build your character.
Yeah, I think you build your environment the same way you build what you want to be internally, like that happens externally too. And then it creates a space for other like minded people to surround you.
Okay. And for that space, do you feel like you will find that eventually that perfect space, or are you going to create that space for yourself?
I think so. I think it's a mixture of both. Like I said, you kind of lay the foundation, and then you attract other things that like-minded people or like-minded opportunities and platforms, and then you know what I mean. You kind of create that ecosystem. So I see it happening. I just got to do it at scale.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I like where your head is at. Um. So, and what was this place that you visit down in
It was,
Atlanta?
yeah, it was in Atlanta. It was a mastermind course for independent artists, and so I got to network with some other locals. Well, I don't want to say locals, other indie artists from different states and whatnot, and kind of got together and learned a couple things.
Okay. Interesting. And uh, you mind dropping some gems on like as an independent artist, what place do you look for um to go and like explore talent, connect with other people?
For sure, I think always going to like local shows, whatever space that you're in. You know what I mean? I'm a big advocate for show love, get love. Um, so if you're interested in wanting to perform at a certain venue, it's like go to some of those shows, you know what I mean? Brush shoulders with the artists that frequent there already, you know what I mean? Introduce yourself to the sound person. Like a lot of people will just walk into a venue and say, "Hey, what I got to do to perform here?" It's like people don't know you, bruh. Like, you know what I mean? Show that venue support first, like show face, and then build that rapport and whatnot. You gotta support the arts before you can incorporate yourself in it.
No. And do you have any places like that where you from?
Yeah, for sure. So, in Colombia, there probably isn't a venue that I can't think of a venue that I haven't performed at. And like I said, I've just kind of been around it a lot. So a lot of the artists I know, you know what I mean. A lot of the people that are behind the scenes, I have relationships with, and so a lot of times, for a while, all the shows that I would do weren't my shows. They were artists asking me to be on their bill, or a venue reaching out to me to do a show with them. You know what I mean? Which is a good space to be in when you don't have to reach out.
Okay. Shout out to that. And what's some, if you don't mind me asking, what's some of the good connections that he was made over time?
Yeah, for sure. I think once again, just having relationships with the people that make decisions at different venues, that's always good. Um, Knowing somebody that can like print your merch, for example, is a good connect. You know what I mean? Knowing videographers and people that can create content. You know what I mean? Because I'm a filmmaker and have a background in that. You know what I mean? I know mad people that can pick up a camera. You know what I'm saying? And so all of those things are good ways to maintain quality control of like your brand and how you look on socials and stuff like that.
Okay. And bringing this back to your film that you was talking about,
Hmm.
you mind telling us a bit more?
Yeah, for sure. So originally it was gonna be a music video for "That's What's Up," and I was reaching out to some of my peers to kind of get them involved and whatnot. and then it just kind of evolved into something that was bigger than just the song. So it ended up being a horror comedy, more comedy than horror. Just this real quirky film that doesn't take itself serious. And the soundtrack was "That's What's Up," but the film, you know what I mean? It's just more. It wasn't a music video for the song. It was a film, and then it just kind of incorporated the song. But yeah, it was super fun. Got into a couple of film festivals. A couple of like smaller streaming platforms have picked it up. We did a screening for it, and everybody kind of rocked with it. So yeah, it was a success.
Congratulations. And what's the name of this film?
It's called Boogie. We're not public yet, because like I said, a couple of streaming platforms have picked it up. But yeah, hopefully we'll get some more eyes on it. This was probably about a year ago now. But yeah, that whole process of doing festivals and stuff takes a while.
That's what's up. And this film, um, like you, the uh, main director,
Yeah, I
like how
shot
this
and
came to be.
directed it, but had a co-director, a production manager. There's a couple shots in there where other people manned the camera. But yeah, for the most part, I wrote, shot, and directed it.
And how this film came to be.
Like I said, it just started off as the idea was for a smaller music video for "That's What's Up" whenever it first came out, and then after having a couple conversations with people I wanted to get involved, it just turned into a bigger thing.
And how long is the film?
It's right at 22 minutes.
Okay. All right. And you said it was like a mix of like a comedy and horror.
Yeah, so it's set in the 70s, and this real quirky kid is kind of like the beginning of like punk and emo and whatnot. So he dresses totally different from everybody else, and like I say, he's introverted and quirky. His mom convinces him to go to his high school dance and get out there more and make friends and blah blah blah. And so he sees an ad in the paper for free dance lessons, but it's really a necromancer trying to summon these ghosts, but they can't get the movement right. And because he's so awkward, he can do the movement to summon these ghosts. And so he summons them, and then they just like raise hell at his school dance. So yeah, like I said, it's not a film that takes itself too serious. It's very like haunted mansion, scary movie esque vibes.
Okay. And do you already have plans? Wait, you said the soundtrack turned this music video into a film, correct?
Right. So the soundtrack is the single "That's What's Up," and we just kind of flipped it. We made like a '70s version of the song. We have the original song. So all the music in the film is from the song "That's What's Up."
Okay. And before this collaborations, you didn't necessarily have your mindset on jumping into film, or
No,
did
no,
you already
I
have some
was
interest?
yeah, I was already a filmmaker. I've done web series, other short films, music videos. Like all of my music videos typically have like some sort of narrative and whatnot. I just didn't intend to make this a full short film just because it's a lot different from a song in that like I can create a song in a day. You know what I mean? Like fully finished or
Mm,
whatever the case may be, or a couple of hours. Like making a film like that takes a lot more time, a lot more resources, and it's not something you can do by yourself. You know what I mean? Um,
mm,
so whenever you decide to do a short film, it's like, all right, this is what I'm doing for the next, in this case, 6 months. You know what I mean?
mm. And how long it took you to like finalize this film?
Almost a year, honestly, and we only shot 4 days, so we filmed it, like physically filmed it in 4 days, but the pre-production, the editing, all the marketing stuff, like it took around 8 months.
Oh, congratulations on that.
I
I would
appreciate.
definitely like to, uh, see the film. Uh, I'm guessing it's not out yet.
Nah, not yet. I still have to check and see what streaming platforms it's on, but I'll shoot you a private link so you can check it out.
Okay, appreciate it.
Hmm.
Checking out your music videos, I would definitely say you got a knack for it. So I'm definitely curious to see what your creativity is behind the film.
Or appreciate.
Um, and when it comes to your experience with film, well, directing film, what is your skill set within film? Are you also interested in acting as well, or?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. So to answer the first part of your question, I went to school for cinematography. I have a master's degree in media arts. I was a professor for 5 years teaching the same thing. Um, and so yeah, I have a good bit of knowledge in that space. And I've done corporate work for TMZ, Bloomberg, Cineflix. I was a Steadicam op for a feature film, boom operator, sound mixer. So got a little bit of stain in the game, but I think yeah, like I said, creating films is just like it just requires a lot more resources, as opposed to music. So that's why I have a lot more music than I do films. You know what I mean? But I definitely want to change that and get my catalog in the film space a little bit bigger.
Okay. And out of your projects so far, wait, how many films do you happen to know how many films you did in total?
Whew, man, short films, I probably have maybe like 3 to 5. But as far as like video content, I have a production company and we've done, maybe 50 interviews. I've created 6 different web series. I've done like documentaries and other client work. So like that, that body of work as far as just like video content is pretty big. But in terms of like just short films I've produced, that one's a little bit smaller. But yeah, just work I've done in the video space, that's just as extensive as the music, I think. But as far as this was directed by PATx, you know what I mean? That's a little bit smaller. Something that I would show at a theater, you know what I mean?
Okay. And when it came to uh, your catalog within film, this is my last question.
Mm-hmm.
What's some of your favorite work compared to your proudest?
Oh, that's a good question. I think yeah, the film that we just did, Boogie, it's not like my magnum opus. It's not like this is the film I want to be remembered by because it's goofy, you know what I mean? It's quirky, but I'm proud of it because every single person on set had fun. Every single person on set got paid what they were worth, you know what I mean, or in the ballpark of, you know what I mean. They felt valued financially. It got accepted in the festivals. It got some recognition, and so that's why I'm proud of it. Don't get me wrong, it's like a fun film, but it's not like my
Hmm.
Christopher Nolan best work or whatever the case may be. So I think it was a good lesson for me to like take yourself a little less serious. Not everything has to be like this intense, fantastic, whatever the case may be. It's like everybody had fun. It was worth it. You know what I mean? And these are people that will work with me again. So I'm proud of that. Um,
Okay.
I think my favorite work is the Crazy Town music video right now. Um, yeah.
I respect that. Interesting. Okay. So, and we know you're a bit of a visual artist, painter as well, artist, film director. Will you count acting?
Not necessarily. I know whenever I was in school, I definitely wanted to take more acting classes just because I think it's nice to have experience on both sides of the camera. So it's definitely not something I'm opposed to. I think I could definitely like play a comedy role. But yeah, I definitely want to get into. I wouldn't be against acting. I think it would help me on stage performing as well. Yeah, I think acting would be cool. I'm not gonna wholeheartedly pursue it, but if somebody was like, "Hey, we want you to act in this role," I would definitely take it.
Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you clearly have experience performing live, correct?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Um, when it came to your experience performing live, you mind telling us a bit of your experience?
Yeah. So like I said, I've performed all around Colombia. I've opened for Riff Raff, Bryce Vine, the Baby. I'm opening for Method
Oh,
Man and
nice.
Redman in February. So yeah, I've
Oh,
done
so,
anything from like holes in the walls to bigger stages. I've performed in front of 2 people. I've performed in front of 200 people. You know what I mean? Um, yeah,
Congratulations,
thank you.
especially with Method Man and Rated Man.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Shout
That's gonna
out
be a show.
to them. Yeah. And how you go about the artists that you are? Wait, are you going to perform with them, or are you opening up for them?
Opening for them.
Okay. Do you select the artists that you opening for, or this happen to be a good opportunity for you?
Nah, and I think this goes back to having a relationship with the venue people, because some a handful of people spoke on my behalf. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So like I wasn't even in that room when they were deciding who should open, because they're coming to Columbia, and so it's like, all right, what venue can hold them? All right, this venue, and so they're gonna ask the venue, hey, do you have any local talent that could open and whatnot? And it's like somebody mentioned me. Same thing for the Jam Room Festival. It's one of the biggest festivals we have in Columbia. You know what I mean? Like people were speaking on my behalf in rooms that I weren't in. I wasn't in. So yeah,
Shout out to you. It's well deserved. Um, I see the hard work that you put in, at least when it comes to your music. I seen, especially that I know now that you direct your own music video.
mm-hmm.
I can definitely see the vision. And it seemed like you know you said you got 10 years in the game, so you've been
Yeah.
putting in the hard work. So it was well deserved.
Thank you.
Uh, okay. Have you already decided, or you still planning out, the songs you're going to perform?
Um, Still kind of planning it out. I know that I'm doing a mix of some of their songs. Just as kind of like an opener to warm up the crowd. It was actually supposed to be in October, but we had some hurricane damage here in South Carolina, so they had to reschedule it, which is probably for the better. But
Mm,
yeah, I have a decent idea for what I'm gonna do.
no. Um, and when it came to your experience, what's some of your favorite songs to perform live compared to the crowd favorite?
For sure. That's a good question. And it changes pretty often. I think right now, I like performing Diva. This is the latest one at the Jam Room Festival. It was the first time I like pulled out a guitar and did like a little solo. Last time I tried to do an instrument live, like the strap of the guitar broke and like flew into the crowd. so, um,
You
so
didn't
to
get sued, did
no.
you?
so to have a successful, live instrument situation was nice. Wipe up's fun to perform. In really anything where like I can get some crowd participation, like sheesh, I usually like just pass the mic to somebody in the crowd and they do the chorus. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, yeah. So
Oh, they
so
fucking with your song that happy.
yeah. There's a handful of them where people will fuck with them. I honestly I like asking people what songs they want to hear. You know what I mean? I'm all about crowd interaction. So it's like, all right, if you give me these 5 songs, like that's what's gonna go on the set list. You know what I mean? It's about the crowd, not necessarily about me. I'm happy to perform whatever song. Like I wouldn't have put it out if I didn't like the song. So I want to do it with
Wait, so
y'all.
the people that's part of your crowd there, are they already a fan of yours?
Yeah. And sometimes it's more or less people, but yeah, I usually have somebody in there that knows about me.
Oh, so let's say you go in, to perform somewhere, there's only about like 20 people that know you specifically.
Mhm.
Or do you would go and ask their opinion, what songs they would like to hear?
All right, so I have a text and an email list. If it's in Columbia, I know the majority of the people that are there like know about me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But for like the Method Man and Redman show, for example, like there'll be a good amount of people in there that know me, but it's mostly gonna be Method Man and Redman's fan base. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
And so that's going to influence what songs I perform. Thus, why my opening song is going to be a remix of their stuff. You know what I mean? And not like my most popular song, because just because it's my most popular doesn't mean the majority of the crowd's going to know about it.
okay. And what's some of your favorite, um, like, would you consider the people that support your fan base or community
Hmm.
fan base?
Uh, yeah, I'll say community. I know the word like
Mm,
fan and is a little like frowned upon nowadays. Yeah, I'll just say community supporters, whatever.
Community
Yeah.
supporters. Yeah, I know. Hard time. But the question I was going to ask, that I'm curious about, have you ever had a moment where you really had a good experience, like merging your fan base with another talent?
Yeah, yeah. There's an artist by the name of Hero H3RO. Anytime we do a show together, it's awesome because we're both like hip hop heads. You know what I mean? So it's a very
Mm,
lyrical show. He has a live band, and so he incorporates a little bit of the rock elements and stuff too. And then we have a song together that did really well, and so it's a fan favorite. Um, any like multi-genre show is always fun because I like being like that little intersection between the alternative and the hip hop. And then those are like really like the people that I like, you know what I mean? People that don't listen to just one genre. The weirdos, you know what I mean? And I mean that
mm,
best way possible. But like those are the people I really like to have in the crowd, you know what I mean?
okay. And my last question to you, live performance. What's some of your biggest strength, and what's something that you, in your opinion, that you need to work on?
For sure. The so for something to work on, I definitely want to beef up my act, you know what I mean? I like having live instruments. Like I can play piano and I'm decent on a guitar, but I'm not confident in either of those to like play and sing at the same time or whatever the case may be. And then I'm also like a solo act, you know what I mean? So I want to elevate a little bit higher than just having like a backing track and rapping on it. You know what I mean? I want to get into live looping. I want to sync up some lights and displays and you know what I mean? Just to have a lot more theatrics and keep it interesting, especially as a solo act, or maybe even get to a situation where it's like I can work with a band or be a solo act and it's just as involved. So that's definitely something I need to work on. I think my strength is just this real high octane. You know what I mean? Like I'm very energetic. I have a sense of humor, so like you're gonna laugh when I'm on stage, and that helps me a lot to kind of like break the ice and take myself less serious. Um, if it's a smaller stage, I don't spend a whole lot of time on stage. I like to jump off the stage and like be in the midst of the crowd and bumping shoulders and all that. You
Mm,
know, so I think it's just a high level of engagement and interaction. Last show I did, I had inflatable lightsabers and like split the crowd in half between green and pink and let them like thug it out during the drops and stuff. You know, so just all like I always throw stuff at people like free stuff and so, you know, I just like interacting and having engagement with the crowd, you know,
that's dope. That's dope. And do you, I know I said that was going to be my last question, but I am curious, do you record any of your performances?
Yes. I have recaps on YouTube. I want to be a little bit better about it. In ideal conditions, I'll get a random person in the crowd and I'll put a 360 camera on their head. And that's how I
Mm,
usually record shows. The quality of that camera isn't
that's
great.
about
So at some point, I'm gonna invest in a higher quality one. But yeah, that's usually how I like to recap shows
no. Shout out to you. That seemed really dope. That made me definitely want to come to your shows.
for
Uh,
sure.
especially, I can see that being something entertaining for people to invest in,
Hmm.
especially if you collect, you know, 5 years worth of that. You know, whatever we don't get to see, you get to post that. Could be
Right.
merch. Um, but coming to the halfway point, how are we feeling?
I feel good, man. These are good questions.
That's good to hear. So to hit you with some talent in the halfway mark, um, we have some talents on our end, and we let
Hmm.
you decide, you know, you want to collaborate or network with.
Okay.
Uh, it's funny that you say you was interested in comic books. Shout out to One Nation. He got his own, he's an author writing his own story within manga slash comic books.
Hmm.
Um, black author creating his own characters and stuff like that. So if that was somebody that you would like to connect with or, you know, within that field, we can make that happen.
For sure.
Our second collaborator, shout out to Mason Kneeladder. He's a professional within 2D animation. So flyers, uh, animation, music video, etc. Anything around 2D animation, you can do it.
Mm.
And that's another talent that you like to connect with, you can make
Yeah,
that
I'm
happen.
with it.
Okay. You also got some experience within film. Which what would you say your net would be within film?
Like my position.
Yeah, like for example, shout out to Jet Production. They make short action films.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, my pocket's usually directing or camera.
Oh, so you're not within Pacific any genre?
Yeah, no, no, I'm open to all
Okay.
genres. Yeah.
Shout out to that. RN, Jet Production, they make short action films. Not only they looking to collaborate with artists, using our soundtracks that get a similar feel of what they going for. They open to collaborate with other talents and, creating something beautiful out of that.
Word. Yeah, I'm open to all that.
All right, we can make that happen. And our last collaborator, shout out to Moss. He's a producer, really talented around samples and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Me and him is actually collaborating, creating a hub for artists to gather to make music around themes and challenges. Such as our first project is going to be mixing horror with Valentine's.
Mm.
So if you're interested in both, or you just want to be interested to meet the producer, um, you know, I can.
Yeah, I usually make all of my own beats, but like I said, man, I'm always open. You feel me? So yeah, I'm with it.
Okay. All right. Like I said, what we're starting to do is creating a hub, um, creating a hub where artists can gather, make music around the theme challenge. Um, so we're going to get that started up and get the prototype out. But yeah, if you're definitely interested, I will send you more information.
For sure. Yeah. Let me know.
All right. So, yep, that's the four talents that we have in our end. I will send you their information after this podcast.
Word.
And when they're giving you the floor, when it comes to talent, what talent are you looking, to network with? They can get to hear it from you.
Um, for me, like collaborations always it starts off with like rapport. You know what I mean? Like obviously there's like business moves that can be made, like going on to Spotify and looking at your fans also like and like reaching out to those people. But I never like collaborate just to collaborate. You know what I mean? Like I want to know like the person that I'm making something with, because for me it's like that's legacy. You know what I mean? Like that song's gonna outlive all of us. You know, so I want to know who I'm on that song with and like actually rock with that person as a human being. Like we ain't got to be best friends or nothing like that, but it's like be a decent human. You know, we got to vibe and connect um, before we jump on a song together, you know?
No, but this was to give you the floor, to announce what talents are you looking to network with. So anybody that
Okay.
listens to this podcast, yeah.
I got you. I got you. Got you. Yeah, I'm always looking for, and that's the cool thing about being in the creative space. It's just like, it's really project driven, you know what I mean? So, like, if I decide I want to do a horror film next, then I might need a makeup artist, or I might need a camera operator, or if I want to do a album, you know what I mean, then I might need a female vocalist or another producer and whatnot. So it really just depends, dude. It's not. It kind of feels random sometimes,
Okay.
you know.
So you wouldn't necessarily be open to all talents
Yeah, I'm just like I said, I'm just open
within
in
the
general.
entertainment.
For sure. Because I might meet somebody and that might inspire the creation of something. You know, sometimes you're making something and you're looking for people, and sometimes you meet people and that inspires you to make something, you know?
Okay. I respect that.
Hmm.
Okay. Um. Okay. Okay. And bringing this to your music, I was listening to 17 songs out of your catalog.
Hmm.
Only check out your YouTube so far, but are you on other platforms?
Yeah, yeah. I'm everywhere. Well, I say everywhere, but all the majors.
Okay. So I do have one question.
Hmm.
Why is that not in your link?
Why is what not in my link?
Uh, your other platforms. Like when I click your link, you only had like YouTube and SoundCloud.
What on TikTok?
Yeah.
I don't even know. Will it let you add other links? Cause if so,
Uh,
love
you're
to
a new
put my
page.
yeah, I'd love to put my website because that's where literally.
Uh, okay, so that's got it. Okay. I was just like, all right. I was like, you only on YouTube? I was like, oh, but
Yeah, when I
just
was
hearing
making it, I
everything
was
else.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was like, why is it only YouTube? Because it doesn't let you do other links, which is weird.
Interesting. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, so you're on all platforms. We can find you everywhere. And I'm guessing you're using like DistroKid or something.
Yeah, yeah, for now.
No. Um. So the 17 songs that I happen to check out. There's seven that really stands out to me, and then there's five that's growing on me.
Okay.
And none of them share just the same songs. So which one are you curious to know first?
uh, Give me the ones that are growing on you.
You want it all at once or one at a time?
You can rapid fire them. You can give them to me all at once.
All right. Foolish. I like the second half.
Mhm.
Toxic.
Mhm.
Crazy Town
Mhm.
and Hold Your Head
Mhm.
and Murray.
Mhm.
Those are the five that's growing on me.
Okay, for
How you
sure.
feel?
I can see why. I don't think maybe with the exception of like Murray, like those aren't ones that will like catch your attention at the very beginning, especially Hold Your Head because it's like a minute long intro before it even gets to like the actual song. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so I can see that.
Okay. And I'm guessing moving on to the songs that really stand out to me.
Hmm.
Diva, that's my favorite. My Friend, Breach, Rags, Casanova,
Hmm.
Hostage, and Knife Wonder. Those are
Mm.
the songs that really stand out to me, being a first time listener.
Mm. I like that. I'm I'm big on Diva right now as well. I think it does a good job of fusing the alternative and the hip hop, and I'm making sure that all the songs moving forward like have examples of that in what I mean single songs. Um, I like that Ninth Wonder is in your list. That song means a lot to me. Um, if I could like explain what my journey like felt like in terms of like listening, then it would probably be Ninth Wonder.
No.
Um, Hostage is a fun one. Uh, Rags. A lot of the ones you said are ones that like did pretty well organically, even if the numbers don't necessarily imply that. Like when I talk to people, like,
Mm,
those are some of the ones that people mention.
okay. And I'm curious, where's your listeners coming from? Do you pay attention to that?
Yeah, for sure. Denver is a good one for me. Australia, I got a good bit of listeners out there. Obviously, majority of them are U.S. You know what I'm saying? But like Australia's right under that. Yeah, Denver, L.A., Charlotte, North Carolina. I get a good bit of love in Atlanta and Florida. Yeah, it's pretty spaced out.
Congratulations. And you're already starting, build um, some audience, fan base, community
Hmm.
overseas. Okay. And have
Yeah.
you performed, outside the United States yet?
Nah, I have not. I wanna. Well, I say I want to very loosely. I want to go out to Australia because I know a couple of people out there, and because it's on my list of people that listen to me. But I don't want to go to Australia because it's scary as hell out there. So I say that extremely loosely because Australia is
Okay.
a super scary place. But
No, I feel
yeah,
you. I feel you. Those spiders.
everything's like optimized to kill you in Australia. I don't know.
Yeah. But it's also funny that, we would just talk about, you directing like horror and everything. And I was like,
Yeah.
huh, I don't like that makes sense why you have a fan base down there. They're dealing with that shit every
Right, right.
day.
Maybe that's what'll get me to Australia to make a horror movie. I just got to turn on the camera and just record the shit that goes down out there.
But shout out to you, able to gain um people that's fucking with your music and not necessarily from your home country. So
Hmm.
that's dope. You're able to have that much reach with your creativity.
Yeah.
Shout out to you. Okay, okay. So you have an artist down there, and will you happen to know how many songs you have out in total?
Hmm. I was registering my stuff, and it's around like 50, around like 50 to 60.
Oh, 50, 60. And you can start off with the first one, uh, Diva. How that song came to be. What inspired that song?
Really the bass line, man. I think the bass line is just one of those ones. It's almost like, for me, the bass line for, Dance Dance by Fallout Boy. It's like,
Oh,
it, the bass line for Diva makes me feel the same way to where it's just like real catchy, you know what I mean? Um, and then I just wanted like the vocal approach to be as sexy as the bass line, you know what I mean? But I didn't want it to be like smooth and suave the whole time. So it's like, all right, well, how can I incorporate some of the heavier vocals and whatnot, and all of that? So it's like, all right, this song sounds kind of sexy, but there is like some grit and whatnot to it. So what's a theme that I think could follow that? And so it's like, obviously, when you think of sexy, depending on your sexuality, you think of a woman. You know what I mean? And so it's like, all right, well, let me paint this picture of a woman, a diva, but the grit comes from the experiences. So, like, the bad things that might have happened to make this woman end up being a diva or a man eater. Does that make sense?
mm-hmm.
So,
No,
yeah.
it definitely. I would definitely say that as a. It was giving me like a Halloween classic, like
Yeah.
an evil, spooky little witch or some shit. I don't know.
Right. Like Jennifer's Body or something. You know what I mean?
Ah, perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah. Um, and doesn't like I said, you're definitely an interesting person, so I could definitely see there's would be definitely a people that's there for your creativity.
Mm-hmm.
You even showcasing with like it's a lot of people working their ass off just to get seen in their home country.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you're already making progress overseas, like and you're independent, correct?
Yes.
So yeah. Um, so right now you're doing a lot. This might not mean much, but yeah, I'm seeing enough to be like, damn, I'm proud of you.
I
Brother to
appreciate
another
it, man.
brother.
That means a
No,
lot.
shout out to you. It's well deserved. And Diva, I was just that's why I picked that song as a promo. I was like, oh, that drum hit right there. That was fire. Um, okay. Next song. Um, Foolish. What inspired
Foolish.
that?
Yeah, Foolish is an interesting one, man. I went out to LA during COVID because in my industry, like LA is like this Elysium or like this heaven, you know what I mean? Everything happens in LA and blah blah blah. I was like, bro, I'm about to just go, you know what I mean? Like it's literally just a plane ticket, and the world's a small place. And so, yeah, it was during 2020, so you couldn't really do much. And so I took my guitar out there and recorded the Moving Still project. And so the song I Got Sad in LA is like, I got sad in LA. I was out in Hawthorne. So yeah, that was like an impromptu project. It was my first time really picking up a guitar and really like singing, you know what I mean? So it's like I'll listen to it and it's so imperfect, you know what I mean? Some of the notes are missed, some of the guitar sounds like isn't recorded the best, you know what I mean? But I think those imperfections make it feel very like representative of, even if you didn't know that, you know what I mean, I recorded that in the back of somebody's Airbnb, like it still has like some this like weird homey type feel to it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And what's out of each? Wait, how many albums you did in total?
Um, the only project that's out that I would consider an album is Mesomatic. Um,
Okay.
but I think there's three projects out right now: Mesomatic, X001, and then Moving Still.
So out of each project, can you
Hmm.
give us two songs out of each project that is your personal favorite?
Good question. For Mesomatic, definitely Hostage and probably Under My Skin. For Moving Still, Foolish and oh, that's a tough one. Um, hmm, Foolish and maybe maybe Q&A. Yeah, Foolish and Q&A. Um, but I don't know. There's a each one of the songs on there. Not necessarily that they're my favorite and I love them. They just have like kind of shining moments. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
yeah, Foolish and Q&A, and then for X001, Breach and Cracks in My Armor.
Okay. Shout out to those songs. And when you come to your music, do you listen to your music?
Yeah, yeah. I'm like my biggest critic, but I'm also my biggest fan. Like I will blast my music out the car.
Okay. Um, which do you have some songs that is your least favorite out of your catalog?
Mm, least favorite. Um, maybe I don't mind. Maybe just because like I recorded it once and put it out years ago, and then I remade it. And then once I recorded it and put it out, like I actually went back into like my notes and like looked at the what I wrote, and like I ignored like half of what was on there. You know what I mean? Like some of the
Mm,
ad libs were supposed to have internal rhymes and this, that, and the third. So like I don't dislike the song, but like lyrically, it's not my best work.
no.
Um, so yeah, probably that one. I think it was cool, but like I said, I was just trying to get it out too quickly that I did a disservice to the original idea.
And what was it? I don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay.
Ironically enough, I mind.
Yeah, that is ironic. Uh, and do you do any behind the scenes?
Um, I want to do more of it, and I'm trying to get a little bit more comfortable with it, just in general. You know what I mean? I'm the type of person that like wants to be secretive and whatnot, and then show you the finished product. And so, like with the extras community, like I document a whole lot more. I do like lyric breakdowns. I want to get to a point where I'm like recording my recording sessions. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Because I think that that's just as important as the finished product. So it's definitely something I'm trying to get a little bit more comfortable with doing. I'm not like necessarily uncomfortable with showing people the process. It just doesn't really like cross my mind because it's such a intimate thing. You know what I mean? I'm just not used to having people around or documenting it. So I just got to be a little bit more mindful to remember to do it. You know?
I agree. Even with because like I said, hella talented. Like even with like you have people that genuinely fuck with your music. So just to like to get this, to see you in your back, because we don't have MTV, right?
Yeah.
We don't have a dedicated platform to showcase, your journey, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So especially, which there's ways to go about it, especially if you don't want to announce that, right up, uh, or beforehand, before the project and everything, which is
Mm-hmm.
cool. It's something that you can build upon, cook on it for, like a couple years, like I said. Um, because it could be another way to, promote and to give clout back to that project.
Yeah.
Um,
For sure.
but just seeing you in your creative bag and just seeing like how you came down, like even with Diva, I'm pretty sure there's people that's curious, like how the fuck did he cut this up,
Yeah.
like was he just sitting here and just like everything just going smoothly, or you like did he get lost, fucked up or something, the file got deleted and you had to redown, we
Yeah.
don't know what
For sure.
happens when it comes down to creating a masterpiece. So capturing those moments could definitely be entertaining and interesting, especially amongst your core fans.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. I think it just kind of comes down to like that's another thing that I would have to do myself versus like
hmm
set up the camera and shit. So like I want to get to a point where it's like, all right, dude, I'll pay you whatever to like follow me with the camera for the day. and like piece it together. Because like if you can edit it and somebody else can like shoot it, you know what I mean? Like I have no problem doing
Mm-hmm.
that. Just to remember to pull out the camera and do it yourself, you know.
No, it's definitely a task.
Hmm.
And when it comes to your merch, what's the lineup of your merch?
Um, right now, the most recent drop that I did this past summer is the one that I'm most proud of. I actually took still shots, like still frames from the music videos, and turned them into graphics, and then put like lyrics from the song onto it, and like a real grunge, brutalist type of vibe. Um, so yeah, I'm interested to kind of like revisit merch, maybe do a new drop that kind of at least matches that, if not better designs. Um, yeah, yeah. I want to have some of the dopest merch. Like I can't stand when people like put their face or like their name in Times New Roman on a fucking shirt and then sell it to you for $50. You know what I mean? Like I'm not about to sell anything that I wouldn't wear. So I really like pride myself on having dope merch, and the fact that it's my merch is secondary. You know, like I want it to be a dope design first.
Okay.
Hmm.
And what's the option of your merch? Is it the t-shirt, hoodies?
Right now, it's primarily t-shirts. Hoodies are just like a little bit more difficult to trap because it's like if I'm doing print to order, then it's heavier, so like I lose more on
Mm,
shipping, so my profits or my margins are smaller. And then if I buy inventory, then like I'm fronting a whole lot more to try to get it off. You know what I mean?
okay.
Um, I usually kind of like chill in the winter. I want to make some bear ear beanies. You know what I mean? Because it's a winter thing and it's like themed and whatnot. So I got to figure out what I'm gonna do for the winter because I'm tired of missing out on the winter.
Mm. Okay. That's dope. That's dope. And do you have any examples at the moment in the showcase?
Of like merch.
Yeah.
Uh, do I even have any merch on me? I have it somewhere.
No.
But yeah, those shirt designs I was telling you about, that's on the site. I still have some of those units. Every
Oh, you got
show.
a website.
What's up?
Oh, you got a website.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got a website. All of that's on there. Yeah, IamPatx.com. There's interview stuff. There's content. There's a private community that I have. You know, there's a lot of stuff on there. That's why I wish
Okay.
TikTok would let me fucking put it on the page.
Well, shout out to that. And do you happen to use Linktree?
I don't. I have in the past.
Mm,
But like I said, like everything's like on my website, so I usually just link that. Um,
okay.
and it gives me like a good way to like track. You know what I mean? How many people like visit and stuff.
All right, that's dope. And this website got everything, your merch, your music, and you said interviews?
Yep, there's a press section that has any other interviews I've been a part of, any like articles and press that's been done about me. Um, yeah, all the socials, all that.
Okay. And that's what's up. Okay. And it's impex.com.
Yep, IamPatx.com.
Okay. All right, shout out to that. Let me see. And my last question now I'll ask. Uh, what's some of your favorite collaborations?
Mm. Um, like I said, I love Hero. Because we both just kind of were barred up, you know what I mean, and we're real hip hop about it. So anytime I collaborate with him, I know he's gonna bring it, and we elevate each other's pen game. Um, I like collaborating with JB Sampson. He's another artist here in South Carolina. And both of those individuals are just people that I have like a good relationship with. You know what I mean? So we can talk shit, we can laugh. If I Not that they ever lack in their art form, but if I saw an opportunity for them to improve something, you know what I mean? We can provide each other constructive criticism and vice versa, you know what I mean? If I'm slacking somewhere, I would trust for them to, you know what I mean, give me feedback and whatnot because we have that type of relationship and respect each other's artistry. So yeah, JB Sampson, Hero. Um, Those are the two I can think of right now. Me and Neely, another South Carolina artist, are working on something really cool right now. Another huge lyricist. Uh, yeah,
Shout out to. Okay. And before you go, shout out all your platforms. Shout out anybody that you want to put on, and then drop a song out of your catalog you want the audience to tune to.
for sure. So once again, you can find everything at iampatx.com, all of the socials, more information about me, how you can get involved with what I'm doing. All of that you can find at iampatx.com. As far as a song to listen to, I would listen to Diva, man. I think it's a really good example of the direction I'm going in from here on out, where I'm just incorporating the alternative and the hip hop all together in one song. So yeah, Diva is a good example of that. So check that out.
Okay, and you shout out everybody.
Yeah, yeah. Shout outs to JB Sampson, Hero, The Cool Table, Dasso Lee, AR Shaw. Just shout outs to South Carolina artists. I know I'm gonna miss people, so I'll just put it that way. Shout outs to Soda City, shout outs to The Lank, and South Kakalaki. You feel me?
Shout out to them.